right, it's live again. Okay. I don't know what happened, Facebook. Freaking technology.
The Russians.
The Russians. Freaking Russians. I hate that. They're always trying to hack my account. It's okay. I deleted all the previous shows. That was a terrible reference. It was a terrible reference. Facebook and America, we have a problem. I call it the zero to Nazi effect. You know what I'm talking about. It's in any given conversation where there's a disagreement. It's the length of time it takes to go from zero to you're a Nazi. I will now punch you in the face and go outside and set fire to your car. Well, we have a solution here on the Why No Wine Show. It's wine. We're going to have a good time. We bring people together from all different walks of life to talk about everything that everybody always tells you you're never supposed to talk about. I don't care what it is. Religion, politics, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We'll discuss it all over a great glass of wine as friends, enjoying each other's company and good conversation. Today's topic is a heavy-duty topic. Yep. They all are. Stick with me because today's topic is about the gender pay gap. That's the best thing I can describe it as, right? The gender pay gap. Is there a gender pay gap? Is it ginormous? Is there anything we can do about it? Do you care? Is it mythical? Right. I mean, it's a serious topic, right? We see it on the news, and today we're going to be discussing the gender pay gap. So first of all, you guys are just as much a part of the show as the panelists on the show. The only difference is we're getting to drink good wine. So, if you got a bottle, crack it open and, get with the show here, right? I got some wine. He's looking for the wine. I got wine. Don't worry, Ed. Oh, he's looking for his water. Anyway, pour yourself a great glass of wine because we're going to have a good time on the show discussing this topic, and you guys are as much a part of the show as anybody here. So make sure you chime in. What are your thoughts on this? The gender pay gap. Is there a gender pay gap? Do you believe there's a gender pay gap? If you do, what the heck do you think we can do about it, if anything? Chime in with your thoughts. We're going to share those comments. We're going to address those comments during the show. You guide how the show's going. So get with it. You got a big job ahead of you, right? We're just going to drink wine and sit back and wait for you.
If you're relying on us for a good show, you're in trouble.
Right? I mean, look at what I got to work with here, people.
Ouch. Oh, really? Oh, no.
I love these people.
He meant that for me. Trust me.
I love these people. Right? Anyway, we're going to give away some great prizes on the show today. You're going to
are?
Yeah. Right? I didn't do it last week. Wait.
Oh, I didn't say that. I
right.
didn't say anything.
We're going to give away at 7:40 somewhere-ish. We're going to give away a whole bunch of different prizes.
7:40.
Yeah, 5:40, 6:40. What time is it? 5:40. 5:40. Yes. I'm so freaking confused. We have two shows now, and one of them starts at 7. Anyway, we're going to be giving away the official I'm a Great Pad t-shirt, right? Very cool. I'm a Great Pad t-shirt. On the back of the shirt here, it says In Vino Veritas.
That's my favorite part.
For your Latin challenged people, this is the In Wine Truth, right? We drink wine on the show, and we drink wine before the show. It is a very serious part of the formula with this show, right? We're going to give away a very cool book, the Gary V book. It is the one entrepreneur's take on leadership, social media, and self-awareness. If you don't know who Gary V is, get with the program because he's a pretty sharp guy on social media.
I'm not aware of Gary V.
You're not? Really, for real?
Hashtag make Ed aware.
Yes, hashtag make.
And
Yes,
make
we're
sure
taking.
that
I know Jimmy V.
We're taking donations.
I know Eddie V, the restaurant.
That's right.
We're taking donations for the Make Ed Aware campaign. So, if you want to donate money to help educate.
Or wine.
Right. Or wine, right. It won't fix anything, but we'll take your money in the wine. I'm giving away a 30-minute free session of hot yoga with...
do that.
Huh?
I do that.
She does that. She does that. Can you believe that? Hot yoga with Planet Beach.
Yeah.
Very cool. And we're going to be giving away a premium bottle of delicious wine, either red or white wine, such as this one. that we will be drinking on the show today. So, I don't know, I lost count. It's like $100, $120 worth of stuff, right? Not too darn shabby just for watching a show, right? So, be a part of this. Tune in. If you want to be in the contest, go to Facebook Messenger and on the page, click on the send message button on our page and type contest details. And it will tell you what you need to do to enter the contest, and you could be one of the lucky winners. So, I'm going to get to pouring some of this delicious wine, which today, it's called Mar de Vitro. Ash, I don't know if you can get a close-up on this. Mar de Vitro. My poor daughter normally has help behind the camera here, so she's running the camera and the news feed and the notes that I get to read from because I'm old and feeble and can barely remember what the heck I'm going to say from minute to minute. So, you know. Anyway, Mar de Vitro, and this is an Italian wine. It comes from the Mediterranean coast of Italy, and it's got a crazy name, like, you know, a lot of foreign words to my, pathetic English, I speak one language, American kind of thing, that looks like Anglianico, but it's pronounced Aianico as the grape, and it comes from Puglia, Italy, and it's got some like black cherry flavors going on. We talked about this before the show. Leather flavor. I don't know. I used to just lick my shoe and then drink wine, but you know, this has supposedly got it all in one, so it could save me some time.
Maybe
we'll
Maxwell
see.
Smart had something to do with that. With the shoe, you know.
Right.
He used it for his phone and his wine.
So I'm going to start pouring some of this wine, and we will rate the wine at the end of the show. And I always post a picture of the bottle on our Instagram account, the Wine No Wine Show. So look us up on Instagram. Be sure to follow us there, and I'll tell you all about the wine over there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my guest and give them their shameless plug as their pay for being on the show, because I don't pay them squat, and they drive across town to be here. So
True.
Whatever they want to promote, they get to do it. So Cindy G.
Hey, well, thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. Shout out to all of those of you that have previously won on the show. I would love to know who has won some of the gifts and congratulate them by name. I'm out of the loop on that, so Joe didn't email me that last
Winners list.
So, the winners list, yes.
So thank you. I am Cindy G of the Cindy G Project, and my desire is to help people design the life they desire to live and live in the body they love to love. And I do that by working with individuals and their wellness. I think it's important to start with your body, your mind, and your soul, and your spirit, and then we'll work with the rest. And I'm also a wine lover, and I'm glad to be here with Joe and the Wine and No Wine Show and our crew for today. Oh, I have a, real quickly, another shameless plug. I have a $47 meal plan that's available now. You can access it if you go to www.teamhealthnuts.com. And
Team Health Nut.
if you inbox me during the show, I'll give you a $10 discount on the meal plan. Healthy meal plans help you to jumpstart your
That's a
journey
new
to
thing.
better health.
The show has benefits.
Wow.
This show has benefits.
What do you know? David.
Right. I'm David Pipkin. Yes, I always lead off by saying, like Cindy G said, I am the Constitutionist on the show. I'm tired of the identification and ideology, and then the argument comes after. I like to put the Constitution first, and then we'll see how the ideology fits. Shameless plug number one, obviously. Ashley, pan over to Ed just for a second. He has the right attire on.
Yes!
Go Astros! Do this thing, man.
I'm a committed bandwagon fan.
No, we came back to Houston 1-1. That was an amazing game, too, over there in L.A. And man, this team, how do you not love them? This is the best thing we've had in the city of Houston for a long time. So, shameless plug number one, Orange Crush. Let's do this. Number two, as usual, I am performing every Friday night at Casa Nueva Mexican Restaurant, 7 o'clock. So that as soon as we end the show here, I hightail it down 1960 all the way down to Kirkendall, and I'll go live there at 7. As usual, that was not me. Tonight,
technically it was.
But it was.
Well, it was my voice. Technology.
Right.
Last week we had a Astros rally that propelled them to the next round, so I think we'll do a replay tonight and get them to Game 4 of the World Series. It's 3 tonight, 4 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
yes,
we win tonight, we'll
yeah.
be up
When we
2-1.
win.
When we win,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, when we win tonight.
So that's tonight, 7 o'clock, Casa Nueva, 1960 in Kirkendall. And one last shameless plug. I alluded to it last week. I work for Scott Thomas Homes. We're a custom builder. We function in 2 master plan communities as well as build on your lot. And as of last week, actually the front end of last week, we became, again, a award-winning builder. We had several that we finished in finalists, but the one that we actually won, the one category we actually won, was in the front elevation for a custom-built home under $500,000. And that happens to be the one where I am in Stone Creek Ranch, which is over at 290 and 99, just south of Community of Faith Church.
We're not saying the award was connected to David being there, but I'm just pointing that out.
Actually, I did not design the elevation, but I did pick all the colors.
There you go. So
I'll take whatever I can get from
right,
it, but
we're
there
not
you go.
saying that the award was specifically given because David was there, but I'm just, I'm connecting those dots.
And now that we have 5 minutes left in the show, really glad to have been here, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
you
Dave.
draw your own conclusions. All right. Stephanie.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm
know,
Stephanie
right?
Pitts.
Oh,
Well, the show is. It's been a great show, and thank you guys for tuning in.
We did have a glass of wine before.
Are y'all saying I'm verbose?
No.
Wow.
with verve.
I promise we're going
Right
to get
out
to
of
this
the gate,
topic.
yeah.
Gender gap. Is there, pay gap. Is it gender pay gap? Is it there?
Both gender gap and pay gap.
Right. Go ahead, Steph. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I'm Stephanie Pitts, Steph by Art. I'm a visual artist at Jomar Visions in studio number 13. And I have no shameless plugs because I am actually taking a break from doing shows and special things to do a solo show in March of next year. So there it is. I guess
Well,
that
you're
was a
the shameless
shameless plug.
Exactly. There it
The,
is.
the shameless plug is a special
The
show.
unshameless
Right.
plug.
In March of next year. Steph is an amazing artist. I've actually had her art. Yes. She had some amazing art displayed on the show before, which I'll give a quick shout out to my buddy Chris Mittermeier, who is one of the co-hosts of the artist edition of the show. This is his work hanging above our head. Houston Strong. He specifically gave it to me to hang and display for the show.
Beautiful, Chris. Good
So
job.
look Chris up. He's awesome as well. And Steph is amazing. I love her stuff.
Where can we buy your work? Where can we buy
Steph Pie Art.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like PI, like
PI and then 3.14. That's my Instagram. And it's the same at gmail.com as my email.
Okay.
So
Y'all got that.
Ed.
Is it like the life of pi or pi the numbers that you need letters to solve?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, both
Well,
of
I
them.
mean,
Yes.
both.
Yes
The
and
life
no,
of Pi
like,
is
we know.
PI
It's
as
about
well.
pi.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I'd love to have a last name that people could spell.
Yeah.
Right?
My
So-
name is Ed Kampf. I agreed to do this 4 hours ago, not realizing that the introduction would be 3 hours.
That was awesome.
The
Wine echo chamber.
I'm excited like you
It's
that
like a wine beast.
the Astros
I left
are
it there
gonna
so I didn't
play,
spew.
and hoping to get out of here by the second inning.
Good luck.
Third.
Believe it.
But yeah, I told Joe I'm gonna have the runs, but it's not a lower GI thing. It's gonna be the Astro thing to go home to watch the.
You're predicting the offense is coming
That's
back.
right,
I got
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm excited to be here. I've been a fan of the show. I've been on the show before.
Yes.
And I promise not to say anything inappropriate. I don't have.
Which is a big promise if you know
I
Ed. So.
it's the same.
I don't have a
That's
shameless plug. However, I bring shame to my kids every day, so it's not unusual for me.
You're here.
I'm sure somewhere.
This is not unusual.
That's what
but
we live
anyway,
for.
Let's just begin the show.
Absolutely.
And this wine does taste like leather. I'm getting a sense of my baseball glove.
All right, so
Follow that.
We're gonna have a
So-
third take today. We're gonna have a third take.
So we're gonna cut the show and we're gonna start over.
Look, Rodney turns. Don't get blistered.
Blistered, I love it.
And Scott says that you lost him at healthy. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
So, guys, today's show topic is the gender pay gap, right? And do you believe that there is a gender pay gap? And if you do, why does it exist? What can we do to fix it? Chime in with your thoughts. I'm going to start with a guest and let them give a kind of a bullet point where they stand on this. We're going to work our way around, and then we're going to come back to some of the comments and start digging in. So, I always kind of reverse orders here. Ed, give us your thoughts. Gender pay gap, does it exist? Yes,
well,
no?
In California, I think there are 3 genders now, so the topic's become more complicated.
At least.
But
And climbing.
But I'm gonna play it safe because I love the female anatomy, and I don't want to say anything that'll be detrimental to me having access to it in the future. But I think they should be paid double.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
But are they paid less?
Of course they are.
Okay.
You know, I worked for a woman, 20 years ago, and she tried, to be a little bit more harsh, thinking that she needed to try harder, and she really didn't. She had the respect and the intellect and the good leadership ability, but she always tried a little bit harder than she needed to try, and we all noticed it, but we never said anything about that. But but it's understandable, because if you're a guy and you're forceful, then you're labeled a good leader. If you're a woman and you're forceful, you're labeled the B word. But it was just interesting that this was back in the 80s when things were pretty progressive. Mm-hmm. But I've had female bosses, and I've had women in my life who did extremely well, and they should be compensated. There's really no reason for a person to be judged by gender on a pay scale. I mean, I have a problem with athletes being paid before the season starts. So,
okay,
that's my opinion.
Okay, good. Steph? Go ahead.
I'm always in this kind of gray area. I acknowledge that the statistics say there's a gender pay gap. I also acknowledge that there might be flaws in those statistics. I do know that there is discrimination in the workplace for both men and women, and maybe not just a pay gap, but denial in promotions that lead, or in opening up career opportunities that lead to higher wages. So that's where I stand.
Okay. David?
I never know what I'm going to say until I actually say it. I had something I was going to say before, but
here's the seat of his pants.
And now
watch him fly by them.
From a biblical standpoint.
That comes later. There is a standard speech every time I come on the show.
Yeah,
maybe I'll do it today.
Our founding fathers.
Notice founding fathers.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'll just say this. I long for the day that this is the worst problem that we have to talk about in America. I'll leave it at that. Cindy G.
Say it again. What did you say?
Wait.
See, you weren't listening the first time.
He punted.
I didn't punt.
What did you just say?
I said I long for the day that this is the greatest problem that we have to face in the United States of America.
In world peace and cancer, and yes, I agree.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. I do. But
that does speak to my viewpoint on the position. So I'm leaving room to come back to it.
Okay.
There has been a gap since it's my turn. There has been a gender pay gap since women ran dynasties. Okay, since the females ran dynasties, and it is a situation where a female is looked upon as has been in our history throughout times, forever back, as second-class citizens, much like other discriminatory actions that exist in our society. That's where I stand.
Okay. So we got a bullet point kind of a list here from the guest panel here. Ash, I want to jump in on some of these comments and also acknowledge some folks who are chiming in. Eric, thank you for tuning in. He made a yoga pant reference.
That hot yoga, probably.
Right.
Oh.
Right? That come with yoga pants, the hot yoga. Right. I didn't know if that was like a tie back to my rants on yoga pants on a couple different shows, right? And they're inappropriate wearing in situations that aren't yoga, right? My boxers are comfortable. I don't wear them to Walmart. All right, let's just leave it at that.
I will say part of what made me change my comment is the comment you're about to read, because he stole my thunder.
Okay. Nathan Hall tagged somebody. Welcome to the show, Nathan. Appreciate you being on. Scott had a big old comment. Scott said, we need to understand that the pay gap that exists is not exclusively between the males and the females. The pay gap is an individual measurement. So where the argument is that men make X amount more than women, the reality is that Joe makes more than Tim and Susan makes more than Joe and Roger makes more than Susan, etc. We've lost the ability to understand the value of the individual. Instead of grouping people into classes, people.
Cheers. Great point.
So we'll dive into that one. And then Scott said you lost him at healthy.
Yeah. Sorry, Scott.
I think.
Hey, Tiffany.
So real quick, Carmelo, thanks for tuning in. Julia, thanks for tuning in. Tiffany, what's going on? Also in the Whine Club, a Whine Club gal. Thanks for tuning up. Tiffany, we are talking about the gender pay gap. If you hadn't already caught up on that point, Justin's been on the show before. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Chime in with what your thoughts are. He's an entrepreneur. He's a great builder up in the Woodlands area. And chime in with your thoughts on this, guys. Gretchen's a great artist, also been on the show before. We've had her art on the show. Chime in with your thoughts, guys. Is there a gender pay gap? What are your thoughts on that? What's the cause? How do we deal with it? What do we do to solve it if there is a gender pay gap? If there isn't, chime in with your thoughts on that. So, jumping in, I will ask a question to kind of get y'all going. Right? As an entrepreneur, I've been in business for myself, literally almost since I was 10, right, with brief stints and other stuff. Hired my first employee when I was 13. She was a female. Paid her minimum wage because that was all I could pay her. But she sold snow cones, so, give me a break.
Right.
Snow cone, the snow cone king, youngest member of the Chamber of Commerce as a snow cone business salesman here. Anyway, my question is, if there's a gender pay gap, and if women, the stat I've seen pretty regularly is about 20 to 23% less on average. If I'm a business owner, why would I ever hire a guy? Because payroll is my biggest expense. And if there's really a gender pay gap, and if females are making 23% less, why wouldn't I just hire females and cut freaking 20% of my, cost right off the top? That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Right? So what are your thoughts on that? If businesses realize that there's a gender pay gap, why do we see, more males in certain industries and et cetera?
To affect their bottom line.
There was a study that was done that, of course, was ignored by a lot of the mainstream media, or all of the mainstream media, that showed that women CEOs paid women less than male CEOs. So, it's another issue where the problem isn't up to a man to resolve. It's why do women do that? Why are women accepting?
Women think that way?
Well, that brings up an interesting point that in your video that you shared that talked about the top 5 highest paying careers, and men dominate those top 5 highest paying careers, whereas you look at the bottom 5 paying careers and women dominate those careers.
Yeah, what was intriguing is that of those, and it was, I would be remiss if I tried to say what they were, but it was like chemical engineering, aeronautical enginering, et cetera.
For the men, for the women, it was more social, and
right,
children, and cause driven.
4 out of the 5 were men driven on the top income earning jobs in America, and on the bottom end, 4 out of the 5 were women driven. One of the I just went brain dead when I went to say the word. Priests, pastors, etc. On the bottom paying end, males dominated that job.
Was the only one of those.
That was the only one
that males dominated.
Right. So, this is kind of a rare thing in that I had a conversation with a regular viewer of the show, and she said, "Hey, I see that the survey this week, the gender pay gap is, running away with it, and so y'all are probably going to talk about that. So, here's a great little video with some data, for you to." And it was all about how there's a pay gap. And to prove a point, I went and Googled the opposing, right? It said the gender pay gap myth or something like that. And I found a great video with well-documented stats and all, like pointing to, here's 50 studies that have concluded this, right? And I shared it with her, not to prove a point, but to say the point of the show isn't to say one side or the other is right. The point of the show is to get people with differing views to sit down together, break bread, and learn how to talk to each other like civil freaking rational adults rather than juvenile little children who want to threaten each other and kill each other.
But that's more fun.
Right?
Well, For some,
the media,
Stimulating.
the media certainly seems to think so, right?
The ratings show.
I've gotten geeky and nerdy on this point, and I said I'm going to use a Star Wars analogy. Right? Our media creates us and them dynamics. Like, I don't care what it is. We have a tragedy in Las Vegas. We got some goofball that kills 58 people, and our media is running around like madmen trying to figure out, is he a liberal? Is he a Republican? Is it? They need to pigeonhole the guy, so they piss the other side off. Right? Because that's what gets people to tune in and watch. And we're conditioning Americans to be juvenile morons. Right? So that's the dark side of the force. It's easy. It's easy. I can get you mad and riled up, and you'll tune in, right? You'll tune in. It's a lot harder to show people what it looks like to have differing views, but sit down together like adults, right? And I completely disagree with you, but I still like you. Pour me a glass of wine.
There's an
Right.
issue today with the owner of the Texans where he made a very common analogy, which I think I've made 500,000 times in different capacities, where the inmates are running the asylum, and now it's a racial term. And he went on.
Well,
record,
you're obviously a racist.
Yes, he went on the record, and I used this. Actually, my wife was a psychotherapist, and I used it almost every day when she talked about psychiatrists. And I said the inmates are running the asylum; those are the crazies. I never thought of that being a racial issue, but he's been attacked and had to publicly apologize.
It's a poor choice of words.
Yeah, I wasn't just. Yeah.
I don't know. Unless I'm just older than everybody else.
No,
I don't see that.
It's being. Here's why.
How is it interpreted as being racial?
It's one of those phrases where, because of his position, because of who he employs, etc., it was a poor choice of words. Whether he was cognizant of it or not, I generally don't think
I can't agree with that.
I don't
I've
think.
never heard that saying before today.
I disagree with that.
I not knowing that it was a saying, I was like,
this is why
what?
I was going to say I 100% don't believe he was cognizant of it and said it in a way that was meant to be that way.
Inmates are running the asylum.
Right.
Inmates are running the prison.
It was
it's just something you say. But let
him finish his point.
Yeah, so I was just going to say it was just a matter of being unaware of that it's going to be perceived by people in the wrong light, right? It's just being unaware. So that's
misperceived, if that's a word.
Right. Well, and so I'm not beating up on him for it. I'm just saying it was a poor choice of words, not to his fault, but simply because he was being unaware of a current environment and the sensitivities to his employees and
the fact that 800 of the current NFL players have been charged with a crime.
Well, but the other thing to
and I don't want to guys to kind of reel it back in.
Right,
I don't want to get too far off of the gender pay gap thing. So I want to focus on that.
I'm bringing it back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring it back to you because here's the thing to bring it. This is to bring it back. As Steve's like to say, the bookend, right?
Right.
Where I challenge you on that, and you're my friend, but this is an area where I feel like there's a consistency issue because on one hand, what is the mission of the show? We are demonstrating to seek first to understand.
Sure.
Well, how can we claim that we are promoting that and we want to promote a society that does that, but then we're also going to say that a guy who had knowing what I know of Bob McNair, he's not a personal friend or anything like that. I'm not trying to claim anything like that. But I don't see that there was any animosity, any negative bone in his body about trying to make any kind of disparaging statement about anyone. He was just making a very common, catchphrase. And here's a guy that's older than we are, Joe. I mean, I've used that term all the time, and never would it be, something I would intend as racist. So the point is that seek first to understand. Is that what we're promoting or not?
Certainly a valid point. If I was sitting down with him and I had Bob McNair and someone who was saying it's a racist comment, I would be trying to get both sides to say, right? Because it's empathy on both sides. It's not just one side or the other. He can't be oblivious to the fact that he hires and employs a segment of the population who right now are in a position of they're taking a stand about a certain issue. He can't be completely disconnected from that.
His president is black. I mean, I don't think of that.
My point isn't to say that he was being racist or that he wasn't racist. I'm saying
I know that.
He needs to be aware of and cognizant of how people perceive things that he says. And I understand. I'm not beating up on it. I'm not coming down on him about it.
But all those perceptions you're talking about are built on false premises.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Joe, so what we're saying is, if we have a group of people embracing delusion, we need to embrace delusion with them out of empathy.
No, absolutely not. You're totally missing my point. And this is hang on.
Okay, so and the
hang on. This is totally missing. This is totally missing the
point of our show,
right? The point is, I don't need to embrace someone's delusion to be empathetic that they believe what they believe.
That's fine, right? but I'm not going to let the fact that they believe what they believe affect the way I use the English language. As you yourself have said, words mean things.
Exactly, though, and that comes. We've had a show before on censorship, and you can lose people in your message by delivering the wrong message, by not understanding
the wrong people, because you don't.
If Stephanie's offended by anchovies,
I mean, if you want to make a point to people and you want them around behind you,
I have 2 millennial kids, and I'll say to them,
Lord help you.
And I'll say to them, we'll hook up later, and that you can't say that. And I'm like,
Dad, that's wrong, Dad.
What did I say? What did I say? I mean, that's
wow.
A simple term of
that's the closest I've coming to spewing my wine on the show to date. Right there.
To me, it's we're going to connect. But I say, and now I have to remove that from my vernacular when talking with them because of their perception of the word or how it's used today.
Well,
they know what I meant.
Of course, right? But in the company of their friends, I might choose to get rid of that statement, right? And
I've learned,
right? So this is what I'm saying, and that's probably a pretty extreme thing because I don't know that I would, but I'm saying at least I'd be cognizant of it, that type of thing. And that's all I'm saying about this situation. And we've gotten so far off, but it's a great subject, My point isn't that we need to embrace the delusion. My point is we need to be aware of people's mindsets are. If I want to get through to a person, if I want to reach a person, I can sit here and be right all day long. Right. And I can win the battle and win the battle and win the battle and lose the war because I'm never going to get through to them if I don't understand where they're coming from, what their point of view is, etc., and try to speak to that, right? That's all I'm saying, right? Is that if he was just disconnected completely from what is a hot topic with a big chunk of his employees right now, and he made a poor choice of words based on that. It was completely, I believe, disconnected. But he was not cognitive.
Okay,
of.
Joe. I'm old school. I'm old school. If you say something to me that I find offensive, I'm going to corner you, not in front of everybody, not take it to the press.
That is what adults do.
I'm going to say, Joe, I really took offense to that, and give you a chance to say, hey, you took, I didn't mean it. I apologize. Not go to the press. And all of a sudden, it's on every news channel.
Listen, I totally don't disagree. The unfortunate situation is when you're a Bob McNair, is you don't have that luxury, right? You make a statement, and the press grabs it, and they put it all out there.
The press.
And they
player.
The player took it to the press, and press put it out, right?
Yeah.
My
really
point
is speaking to another topic. But.
Yeah, it is, and my point is that. This goes back to my earlier comments. The media is all about creating us and them dynamics. I want to create this. I want to piss you off. I want to piss you off. I want to get y'all to fight because that sells.
But
right?
I'm just where I disagree with you on that is both parties have ownership in that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's going to be times that you say something that was taken in a way that you never dreamed it would be taken. I mean, I reject your characterization of just blanket saying that it was a poor choice of word. It wasn't. He had what he meant and what he was trying to convey, and the fact that someone took it and ran with it and made it something. That's exactly right.
Anybody in a position of power, anybody with influence over anybody, when they're speaking, they need to know who their audience is. They have to.
But we say metaphors.
Exactly. Thank you.
Don't take us literally.
The onus
in metaphors.
I'm sorry. I've done professional speaking. I've trained in it and everything else. And the number one rule, just like the show, the number one rule is know your audience. And if you are an owner of a football team, he has employees, and if he is
know your audience, you are my employees.
And if he is completely
that's his audience.
If he is completely disconnected from how his employees are going to receive a comment, then that's on him.
They're going to play very shitty also. So we got to look at the two ways. But I really want to bring us
So I want to come back to the topic.
I really want to come back to because everybody shut down on my dynasty topic. Like, I don't, like, what happened? We didn't even elaborate. We didn't dialogue. I
think we all agreed, except for Steve, that women should be paid equally.
Who?
Steve.
David.
So,
yes.
okay. So in terms,
So, is there a gender pay gap? Now that we have 5 minutes left in the show.
exactly. Like, man, what? Okay. Wow.
She's like, I thought about this
Thanks,
the
Ash.
whole way here.
All right, come
I
on,
wanna
quick.
talk about it.
Look, Carmelo said, scroll up here, pay gap. Where did he? I saw a comment that he made.
Yeah.
Go back down. Sorry. Okay,
go.
so I'll jump in here. Scott said, employees, even for the same job, is rarely an apples-to-apples comparison. If the male is an internal hire and the female is an external hire, there's a reasonable likelihood that the male could earn more. That's not the result of a direct discrimination against the female. Carmelo chimed in. Carmelo
Why
said,
isn't it?
you get what
She
you
is
can
as
negotiate.
qualified or more qualified.
Well,
Hang on,
let it come
we
back
don't.
to that.
Okay.
Carmelo said, you get what you can negotiate, and right or wrong, historically, men have the perception of being a stronger negotiator. So I would think the more females are prone to take the offer, and males would push back and negotiate a better package. Scott said, yes, Carmelo. And then Carmelo is reminding us that we have gone off topic. All right.
Thank you, Carmelo. Why aren't you here?
So I want to jump in now on a couple of these points, right? I indicated earlier, or brought up the point earlier, that if there's this ginormous pay gap, I'm a stupid employer if I don't just hire all women. I can cut a massive chunk of my payroll out. Payroll is historically, depending on your industry, is one of, if not the biggest cost factors in running a business. So if I can cut off 23% right off the top, I'm going to hire all females to do the job. So why don't more businesses do that if there's really a pay gap?
Are you playing devil's advocate right now, or is this your actual position?
He's
Like,
asking a.
Do you know?
do you know?
He's like, no, I really want to know.
I'll throw gasoline on the fire on this.
I'll throw out
I think I
several
know where
points on this.
Cindy's going, and I know she's going to jump in right on top of what I'm about to say.
don't you?
I know it. I absolutely know it.
Piggybacking on that to Carmelo's, Scott's point, or no, it was Carmelo that said negotiating, right? Is it a personality trait of men versus women to be more of a? My business partner Randall has made this point before, in that women typically, not always, but typically tend to be more compassionate and have a greater ability to see the other person's viewpoint.
Relate. Yeah.
Right? To relate. Typically,
It's called
not always.
nurture.
Right? Nurturing, right? So
You're
the
definitely more nurturing than we are.
the employer says, look, I can only afford to give you a 5% raise this year. Whatever. Right? And the female says, well, I know he did have, these issues financially, and I know he's got 2 kids that he's trying to, getting ready to put into college. Whatever. I'm making up stuff here, right? Mm-hmm. But she's seeing the other person's side. The guy is completely disconnected from that and says, I don't give a crap about his 2 kids trying to go to school. I got my own 2 kids that I'm trying to put through school, and I'm not taking 5%, dude. I need 7, or I got to bail. Right?
Well,
so that was his point. That's kind of speaking to Carmelo's point here, is that there are typically guys tend to be a harder negotiator. Do y'all believe that?
I agree with that, but I'll go one further from the employer standpoint. And so here's where it speaks to the question you were asking on the earlier comment. Let's say that we're all a boss filling a position for what's a routine, just a standard, whatever, a accounting position, bookkeeping, whatever, and you're looking at candidates, male versus female candidates. There are statistics out there that speak to the argument that if you hire a woman, you're going to incur whatever percentage more of sick days, more personal time taken off. There's all that kind of stuff. There's also, and it's a fact of biology. If the woman has a family, if the woman desires to grow or start a family, who's going to be the one nurturing, taking care of the kids?
Taken into account.
So all those things are there. No, I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying if the statistics are showing that.
It's not statistics. It's a social construct of conditioning. The male dominated.
But it's not conditioning. It's real.
It's very much conditioning.
In most families, who takes care of the kids?
But see,
okay, hang on. I don't want to overtalk each other.
Right.
So you're saying it is not a social construct.
Right.
It is a matter of biology, is what you're saying.
No. I'm saying
clarify.
I'm saying that the woman's choice in the majority of those situations, the woman who's interviewing for the position is, if she's looking to have kids, she's going to be the primary caregiver. even if mom and dad are both home and they both work 9 to 5 jobs or whatever. If Johnny's sick at school, mom's got to take off from work to go get the kids, right?
I'm agreeing with him right now.
And I'm not saying that that's
Mark this moment in space and
You
time.
better mark it.
No, but I want to
agree.
be clear with you to your question, because what I'm saying is I agree that there's an aspect of social conditioning to that, because but there's a good reason for that being the social conditioning, because that tends to be the case more often than not.
Absolutely.
Whether we agree it's right or wrong,
No,
that's just most
it
often the
is the
case.
case.
But there's
You're
also
absolutely
another thing, and this might open up another can of worms and get us off the rabbit
It
trail.
might.
You're opening up with her, because I've already started it.
But here, I'm going to say this, and I'm not a male chauvinist. I'm an equal credit
You are
opportunity
too. You're mansplaining right
insulter.
now.
But I think one of the problems that women have to deal with is women want to be treated equally until they're treated equally.
Exactly. And they
That's a
should
good
never.
point.
It should never.
That's a good point.
It
I'll
should
clink
not
on that
be.
one.
It should not be a treatment of equality.
That is a clinkable
based on
comment.
It is not a. It is
I thought
not
it should be thrown
a
out.
question of equality based on pay in the job market. It should be based on equality of who actually brings forth worlds. They should be paid more.
Agreed.
Period.com, and it shouldn't even be a situation where women are up against men for a role to get a higher pay for being an engineer or an educator or a thug or whatever it is they decide to do. It should never be.
Thugs should be paid
Is that a
equally,
professional
never-
question?
regardless of gender. I'm just
Sorry,
saying.
I didn't check my language on that for my
Okay,
audience.
but
Hashtag equal pay for
okay, that's
thugs.
another word we can't use if we're white.
Exactly.
And thugs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
My bad.
But then it goes to the bigger
Think about it,
subject
and
of
that's why
teachers
David
should
was
be
right with
paid
the-
far
with the
more
biology.
than.
You were right.
Y'all are over talking each
I'm
other.
sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, your point is taken on a broader scale of
You have
the
to.
net
Did
worth
you
of
just
a
say
teacher.
broad? Man alive.
Wow, what a sexist.
Teachers-
Fathers of our country.
Teachers affect more lives than coaches. Police officers and firefighters
And
touch
women
more
bring
lives.
forth life, therefore they should not be up against a man when it comes to equal pay.
This earth
It-
would be
Wait, I'm
vacant. if
Thank
men-
you.
Yeah, but I'm not
So-
quite understanding what you're saying.
Okay.
They should not
All
be
right.
up against a man for
Yeah,
equal pay?
you should not. There should be no competition. Women, in my opinion, okay, and this has a lot to do with my wellness and healing coaching, because what happens is women take on the roles of men when they should not have to, and therefore when a woman physically mans up, she is downing herself internally and metaphysically and biologically. So when a woman should actually be not even concerned about going to work during her menses, for example, she should be off on a camp, chilling and
Drinking a glass of
having
wine.
having massages and not work and getting and centering her chi. But she's plugging it up and she's going to work, trying to work overtime like that man is. Therefore, when David talked about how when a job of a hiring employee or owner considers a woman versus a man, he's already thinking biologically, okay, well, she's going to have periods, she's going to be cramped, she's going to have kids, she's going to be having PMS, she's going to be a bitch, blah, 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 blah. Taking all that into consideration. Well, yeah, I'll give you a job, but I know you're not going to be here like my dude going to be here, so I'm going to have to consider that in the pay scale. We've got to take it to the root issue. It has nothing to do with skill sets.
There's a part you kind of missed my point because of the example
But
I gave.
I'm making my
That's
point,
on me.
though.
You are.
Yeah.
But my point was not to say that that's the view the employers ought to have universally. What I'm saying is that is the society. That
Exactly.
generally is
That is
what,
the conditioning.
I'm not saying that from the employer standpoint. I'm saying that it goes back to choice.
Society. I mean, it's a
Most women
construct.
who are planning on having a family, who are out working
by
in the
herself,
workplace,
planning on having a family by herself.
See, you're adding facets to that I'm not adding. I'm
But
taking
how
the
can you
regular.
not?
I
Okay,
can
'cause
only
you're talking
argue
about
one
getting
point at a
hired.
time.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
only talking about the job
Hiring,
being
okay.
something that a man and a woman can do with equal.
And they can both equally choose to have a family.
Yeah, equal skill, equal quality, whatever. The point is that most women interviewing for that position, if they're part of the general nuclear family, mom and dad living at home, both working 8 to 5 jobs, whatever, 2.3 kids, the dog in the yard, 2 trees in the front yard, right? Most women are going to be the ones that take off from work when Johnny's sick from school.
Absolutely.
That's the example I'm giving. Yeah. I'm not saying that means that, like, if Joe's the hiring manager and he's evaluating Cindy versus Ed, that Joe should be going, here's all these built-in prejudices that he has against you because you're a woman. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that that's what the statistics are showing employers. And certainly as you dig into those details and the incident happens over and over and over again, Ed's the guy, hey, man, yeah, you need me till 9 o'clock? I'm here.
And whereas her, every 30 days, she might, need a day off.
And that's how that's how it typically works out.
Loss,
yeah, that's how it typically works out. The guys stay longer, work longer hours. That was the point of your one of the points in your video.
Women should be compensated for being a woman.
And I have a point for that too. And it goes to what you were saying about women want to be, equal until they're treated equally.
Right.
Well, if we're expected, we might possibly have children, we might possibly start a family, we might possibly go on maternity leave, we might possibly have to leave to take care of the children or take care of anything that has
themselves,
to do with being,
maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking care of everything else and everybody.
Being in a feminine body. Why aren't we giving men paternity leave so that they can also pull some weight and maybe women can come in and stay at work longer or
There's a thought.
Well, and that's up to the
That's
free
actually
market.
a pretty brilliant statement.
That is a very great statement. And you know what? Another clinkable moment, if I may.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was
20 minutes of clinking.
That's right.
I've been self-employed, and I basically drove my kids to school every day and picked them up from preschool to high school. They didn't have cars in high school, and I was married, and she did her part, but and I didn't consider myself a stay-at-home dad. But if they were sick, I came home and I worked at my house, which was a thing. I don't think I would have accepted a penny for paternity leave at any given time, but I really think that there is no glass ceiling. I hate that term because women have been in space. They're astronauts. They're professors. They've done everything. Women have run for president for years. Maybe not the right one, but the thing is, we elect women governors. We elect women senators. We elect congresswomen and mayors and all that. It's all about quality. It's all about quality. It's about education. It's about qualifications. I don't. All this talk about a glass ceiling, that's like putting a hyphen in front of somebody's name. I don't like that. There are Americans and there are people who aren't Americans. Nobody's more American. If you became an American yesterday, I'm no more American than you.
Exactly right.
So, but the division of pay gap, I can't comprehend that in my mind because I went to school in the 70s and 80s, and I don't remember all of that being an issue. Did things like that exist? Yes, but I respected my female teachers like I did my male teachers. To think that they were
I was more fearful of some of my female teachers.
Accepting a penny less, that would have outraged me 30 years ago.
What year did women gain the right to vote?
1920.
Well, and I'll say this too, we bring
How
up
long
age
have
from
women
time
been
to time.
women?
I've seen this though.
1921.
In my own family, before I was born, my mom had started working for my father. He was an independent insurance claims adjuster, and so I saw the whole era of when women were just a speck of a minority in the workforce. And how it's grown over the course of my own lifetime. I mean, I've seen this. My dad was shocked when my mom found a job working for a company. She ended up working for nearly 20 years and ended up becoming an insurance adjuster herself, got her license, all this kind of stuff. I mean, this is the point of this. This is all very new when we think about it.
It is,
in the life of our nation. This whole thing of women in the workforce is a very new thing. But what it also has happened, it's come with a price. Because before, where we had dad who was the breadwinner and mom stayed home nurturing the kids,
putting up with any guy.
We didn't have to have metal detectors at the school entrances to the schools either, did we?
Right.
So I mean, there's a trade-off there, and we watered down the economy so that now two people going for a job, you're vying for half what the pay would be.
This is one of those for me. One of those things where getting it wrong had a big price. In that I've often
clinkable moment.
Clinkable moment there
love
too.
That
So we should pay women reparations?
I think so.
Sorry.
If we get, that's the thing.
All right.
You want to put our country under the ground is let's pay reparations to someone every time for every screw up we've had.
Because we'd be
I have a
bankrupt.
question.
We got a big one brewing now.
I have to
he's
make
still
this
going.
point. I have to make this point.
I
said my opening statement was getting it wrong had a big price. What I meant by that was this: is that for me the biggest failing of the feminist movement was to create the idea that for a woman to be equal, she had to compete in the workforce alongside of a man.
and put men down in the process.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
I agree with that.
My daughter wants to chime in.
Why are they getting
Hang
raped
on.
in the damn warehouse?
I agree with it.
What
Hang
you
on.
expect?
David, I agree with that.
Like
Right.
you want a woman?
It's,
Okay.
hang on,
Sorry.
hang on. Let me
Sorry.
hang on. Let me
It's a tough-
finish.
She liked it.
It's a tough talk.
Hang on, let me
explain why.
finish. Right? Because I agree with that statement. I do. Because that also was a byproduct of the idea. For me,
Right.
man got it wrong when he treated woman as less than equal in the home. As though, and now women are just as guilty of this, and if not more so. You run into a feminist who meets a woman that says, I'm a mom. You don't want a job? Like she committed the ultimate sin by being a caregiver to her children and managing her home. This is the worst thing she could possibly do as a human being. She has betrayed all women everywhere because she's content to be home.
Yeah, the militant
Right.
feminists take that
Right.
as a slap in the face.
Women
So-
turn on
Y'all
women.
gotta go way
Wait.
further back
The
than
men-
that.
the
So-
women
so
got
hang
it
on.
other women, not
Joe,
men.
when they made God a man. That's when men got it wrong.
Well, okay.
I'm just keeping it 100.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but that's going further in the conversation that I wanted to go because I'm trying to keep it tied to this.
Oh, y'all went all the way to football.
We don't have
Right?
time.
Hang on. I know we're out of time, and I still have to announce a winner. My point was, I mean, from one of the most powerful things I ever read, and from a theological standpoint, was when God said.
Carmelo.
When God said He made woman, we have in the English, we have the word helpmate, which, like, let me hire a frickin' butler, right? Or whatever, because that's what it sounds like. It's such a weak word, helpmate. And just that automatically frames it in a verbiage that's so out of line from the original language. Mm-hmm. The original language, the Hebrew word was ezer kenegdo, and I'm not going to go like all deep into it. I've got a whole post on my Facebook page about it. But the short version is that ezer kenegdo translates to lifesaver alongside. And the phrase is only used 21 times in all of the Hebrew text, the Old Testament, and 20 of those times it's used for God. And the only other time it's used is for woman.
Right.
Once for woman, 20 times for God, lifesaver alongside, and every scenario was where man was about to get killed, destroyed, wiped out, whatever. God came along as a helpmate. As an ezer kenegdo.
This is
right?
why I made my initial comment here. The comment by Carmelo.
I'm going to finish where we got it wrong.
Give 20 more minutes to finish.
I'm wrapping it up. And say we got it wrong. Where we got it wrong was not having that attitude of what woman really was as paired with the man as a lifesaver alongside. So consequently, in the home, we treated her as a servant, and we were the breadwinner who made it all happen.
Carmelo, you listening?
Consequently, now the female said, well, I'm not being treated as an equal, and he only perceives me as equal if I'm the breadwinner and I'm bringing home the bacon. Right? So I'm going to go off now and I'm going to compete and I'm going to be an engineer or whatever else.
Be everything he is.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's, it all fell apart in the family dynamic and the structure there, to me. Right? So...
Well, here's the thing.
I'm Joe for president.
I think there's aspects
Vote
of that
for
are
Joe.
part of it, but this is why I said what I said in my opening comment. Carmelo says women that have a job and have children should receive some sort of bonus, but not from the employer. That is something we should provide as a society. And there you go. That is where we are messing up. Every problem that we have, everything that comes as part of being a free society, where we each as individuals, to Alan's point, or it was earlier that talked about that, there has to be some sort of government-funded, mandated fix to whatever decisions we made that didn't work out the way that we're supposed to work out.
Okay.
We had some great comments.
We got to get rid of this.
Are you agree or you don't
I
agree?
don't disagree.
Really quick.
Agree with that.
Really quick.
So-
I'm going to. We need to announce a winner. I want to announce a winner of this week's drawing, and then I'm going to fly through a couple of comments real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up thoughts and rate the one. So this week's winner. And I was so happy when this name came up because she's been a regular commenter on the show, if nothing more than one of our guests, Joseph Mancato, who I love. He's a great guy, fun guy, but he loves to stir the pot and get like the ladies all riled up. And then his mom comes on the feed and like totally, slaps him around, which is, for me, just great comedy. I love that, right?
We love Joseph's mom.
Right. So Miss Mancato, Tina Mancato, was the winner this
Yay!
week.
All right.
Yes. So Tina, you've won.
You.
Right. You've got a bottle of wine, and I hope you can come by the office and pick it up. I'd love to meet you and snap a picture and put it up on the page.
We need to add to her package like one of those handles with a hand at the end so she can slap her around.
That would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome.
Like what they give at the Astros games, the little clickers.
Torian chimed in.
What's up, Torian?
Torian is going to be a guest on the show real soon. He's out of town. He's an out-of-town guy, and he's flying in. He's going to be on the show. Torian said you can't remember because it didn't affect you. Sometimes we turn a blind eye to things that don't immediately affect us.
Thank you.
Also, we attempt to believe we understand because of what happened to us instead of trying to see things from the other person's point of view. Yeah, that's a big deal, man. That's a big point for me. The whole empathetic listening, trying to see through the other person's eyes, even if you don't agree with them. Carmelo said women that have a job and children should receive some sort of bonus, but not from the employer. That is something we should provide as a society. David mentioned that. It's a great point. Actually,
like what? A tax?
What's the societal fix to that?
Yeah.
That's tough. No, I said you chimed in on that, which you made a great point.
Oh, okay.
But he does not agree with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was saying my point was not Carmelo's.
No.
Sorry, Carmelo. We love you, brother.
No, Carmelo, you on the point. Except that last thing you said, talking about women. If you scroll down, actually, Carmelo also said that women should be. What did he say?
He said if women should be compensated for being women, why can't men be compensated for being men?
What the hell does that even mean?
Ashley's response is really great to that.
What it means, Carmelo, is let me see you give birth, brother.
No,
let me see you give some birth.
My daughter.
Well, there's another side to that.
My daughter made a great comment to that. She said, "I think her point was that men are already being compensated for being men." Right? So
we get to be men, and you know what? I'm happy that we're men because I love women.
Right, that's a beautiful thing.
I love one woman, but
Fix it, David.
Hold on.
Put the shovel down, David. Step away from the shovel.
But enough of that, Upton.
Not all feminists put men down, Joe. It's incorrect to make a blanket statement like that.
I didn't make that statement. David made that statement, or no, Stephanie made that statement.
I didn't make that
statement.
Y'all
two made that statement. No, I will chime in.
No, David said put men down, and you agreed.
Right.
No, yeah. So
it is a trait or a byproduct of some feminists that, like all men are in essence, all men are evil, and they've thrown this.
The ones that go around my daughter are.
Well,
in order for us to be equal, we have to step on somebody else.
I'm all about being a feminist. I am a feminist, but I choose not to say that word because of the negative connotation it now carries, because of the way that some people come off, and they're like, being pro-woman doesn't mean being anti-man. It doesn't mean that I have to belittle you to put myself at a different place. We have to build each other up. Right. So I try not to say I'm a feminist, although I am.
I'm a feminist in the original sense of the word.
But you got to think about the social effects of a woman who has become a feminist, who was working in the warehouse because she had to go to work because her man was left her and the kids. Yeah. Then she goes to get a job in the warehouse in the 20s, and she's raped by the freaking man every day. Okay. And she's got to
that happens
suck it
everywhere, I know. Okay. That's happening all over the place. It happens
as much to men as it does women, yeah.
That's why I don't work in factories.
That's why there needs to be
I stopped working in the factory
because of that. But the downside is...
I'm just saying, that's why it started.
But the downside is, according to women, the term feminist, the male side is the chauvinist. So you have a chauvinist and a feminist. And they're really... what is a feminist? A feminist is a person who wants to be treated equally.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm all for that.
Pretty much.
And I think if you're not for that, then you're living in the dark ages.
Right.
And
on either side.
And the guy that knocks up the woman and then she has to go to work and have to support the kids.
That's not a man.
That's poor choice.
Well, he's a man.
That's a poor choice
not a man in the sense that
that's a poor choice on her part?
Yes.
Well, no, hold on. I'm not going to say it's a poor choice on her part, but it was a choice on her part. Wow. We all have consequences that befall us.
So we have
No.
the choice to be pregnant, but
How
contraception.
has your whole life been easy, Joe? Has your whole life been easy?
We're not
it was.
talking about that. We're talking
I was
about
born with a silver spoon in my mouth,
We're
right?
talking about the power of a woman versus a man. You can't even compare the two.
Agree.
Well, yeah,
Agree.
Like really,
Agree.
like the conversation is done.
They're separate.
You
Tiffany,
can't- you
wow.
can't
We
compare
are
individual
lifesavers,
choice.
life givers. Thank you. Yes, Tiffany, it's Western society.
You
Yes,
can't-
Tiffany, Western society only
Cindy,
values
hold up.
masculine energy.
Cindy, hold up.
Absolutely.
Women can't give life without
Holy
men.
cow.
I like her.
We do play a part in that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the birth was a punishment? You have
Yes.
to take it with you. Wait a minute, what?
In the
Torian's
Bible,
giving you.
he's saying that.
Torian's giving
It
you. Yeah, the
it was-
pain of birth.
You
The
know
pain
what?
of birth
brother,
was.
brother. Okay, we're gonna study scripture together. Okay.
Yeah,
We're
Yeah,
gonna-
so-
but that wasn't
Don't
the
give me
only
that.
punishment on both the man and the woman.
Correct.
If we're to that story. Okay,
Yeah,
so
correct.
anyway.
And it was specifically,
Don't take
if
it
we
to
want to
scripture on
reference
me.
it, it's the pain of childbirth was the punishment.
Correct.
So not
if
actually
you want to
birth.
go.
And
Right.
even
But I
given the
love you.
pain of childbirth, it still seems women still choose to do it.
It's and even biblically,
Yeah,
as
and
soon
so
as
you
it's
take
done,
abortion away
gratefully,
from us,
yes.
or
As
say
soon
that
as
we
it's
can't-
done.
But
can't get
conversely, you ask
contraception.
women who have given birth to children, they'll explain it as the best, the best thing they've ever been able to do in their life, and you
Agreed.
can respect that.
But if
and
you
know
put a
that-
gun in their
that-
hands during, we'd all be dead. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Right? They would have just shot us dead.
Yes.
This is it.
It's all your fault! Ah!
This is gonna have to have a part two. I mean, I was when I found out that this topic was what it was, I was like,
Dun,
That was
dun,
me
dun,
last
dun.
really? Dang, did I really come tonight? No, I'm just kidding.
You know,
But Joe, this is
yeah, I mean, with all of our topics, we will not solve the issue during an hour conversation.
I'm wasting
on
my
Facebook.
time coming here. I thought,
We thought we
that
were
was the
solving-
whole purpose.
Yeah,
Yes.
where's the solution?
An
That's
hour.
what we're here
Yes.
for, Joe. Come on.
No.
You know what? I will say this because this is deep.
just like the
Y'all
story.
ready? Y'all ready?
Go.
Joe's going.
We
deep.
will not
Time.
solve the issue here, but we are solving the issue.
Yes. Agreed.
Hallelujah. Hello, somebody.
All right, this is deep because it's the inability to sit down as adults, be empathetic to each other's position, learn to listen, hear where the other person's coming from, and appreciate where the other person's coming from, whether we agree or not, that starts bringing us to a conclusion where we can actually find a solution that works for each of us and all that sort of thing. So, technically, we are solving the problems by teaching people how to do that. That's the point of the show.
Respect.
Yeah, respectfully, absolutely. And so, on this subject, for me, I shared a video, this was the first time ever. Like, I don't ever encourage the guests to research the topic before the show. They don't know the topic before the show. You can kind of guess sometimes. But we've had a number one pick from the audience that we rejected. And we went with a number two. Because it just wasn't, the topic didn't flow with all the guests.
Yeah.
So
If we
sometimes,
don't have some level of disagreement, we're not going to do it.
Right, exactly. Because the point of the show isn't to have this fight of us and them. The point of the show is to show that we can have disagreement and talk. So that's really what we're trying to get at on the show. We can't solve all the problems. For me, that video I shared actually really summed up my thought. When all the research is in, the conclusion, and this is not just, this is on all sides of the political spectrum, over 50 studies that have been conducted, all this sort of thing. In reality, there's a 4 to 6% pay gap. And in that 4 to 6% pay gap, they say we cannot attribute sex as the cause of the pay gap. It's a variable that's unknown, right? That was the conclusion. But that doesn't sell. You're not going to hear the media. They're going to spout the 23% pay gap because that hypes people up, it pisses people off, and all that sort of thing.
You got to stir up some ish.
Exactly. You got to stir up some ish. Exactly. So, that video really, I was like, yes, that represents
Much to do
my...
about nothing.
Exactly.
Well, and one of my comments to him on
So-
that video was to say that because I already had what I talked about with my example about this position, we're looking at this versus this candidate. But considering all the other things that video brought up, it was actually shocking to me. It's only 23%.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at top 5 careers versus bottom 5 paying careers, and here these are men dominated, these are women dominated, and it's choice. That's going to make up for a lot of that. What's being cast out there as that gender gap.
Women
Or pay gap.
in their beautiful equality with men, we are not the same. We are equal. We are not the same. We are equal. There's a big difference.
Well, and without
right?
women,
and because we're not the same, men gravitate to these positions that happen to be in our society positions that are more highly paid. Women gravitate to positions because of a nurturing characteristic that lead them into social work and a number of other things that aren't highly paid. It sucks that our society doesn't value those positions more, right?
And
We
Joe,
value people running up and down a damn field with a football at like $4 million a year, $10 million a year, whatever, and off we go. That drives me crazy. I don't watch sports, but yet we pay people $100 million for running a ball back and forth on a field when the long-term effect on society is nothing. I mean, it's meaningless. Yeah. But we'll pay somebody like $24,000 a year, $30,000 a year.
Go back to the history of entertainment.
All that stuff. So it drives me crazy. So
it's all entertainment.
It is what it is.
I was going to say real quick
Sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Without women, the depths of our social skills would be we'd have clubs and hit each other over the head to steal each other's fish. That would be
Have fun with that.
You're right.
That's what we do.
You're 100% right.
The value, the roles are completely different. The value is completely 100% every bit as equal, if not more so than what.
If not more so, exactly.
I think it takes a woman out of her character as a woman, out of her biological chemistry and flow as a woman when she has to go and compete with a man for the same masculine job. That we're gonna clink with nothing. Do we have some backup wine?
Backup wine, right there. Pass it over. You know what? We can end the show whenever the heck we want to end the show because it's our dang show.
I'm just saying, like
right?
that's real.
Because
I do have to leave like in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I gotta pee.
All right, so
we pee on the show
look,
really quick, I do want to say though that is changing in today's society because there are initiatives now to get younger girls involved in STEM, the science, all these like
science,
masculine dominated areas, right? But we also need to do that for the younger boys, get them into nursing, get them into teaching. Mm-hmm. We do need to get our younger people out of these gendered areas and get them more, whatever suits you. Yes. If you feel like you're a doctor.
Teach boys to be men and the problem will solve themselves.
Absolutely. I have so many students. I want to shout out to all of my male students that I teach who are majoring in nursing.
Yes.
And other areas that are primarily female dominated. Right. Because
that's how you'll.
But interesting point. Even to that point, because I don't know if it was your video, I saw it somewhere, but even among nurses, we're seeing that the men are willing to relocate and go to the higher paying nursing jobs where the women are going, no, I want to be close to home so
they end up even as nurses. They end up being paid more.
Even as nurses, men get paid more.
Do you know there's a big issue in the clergy also right now? Why? Because kids don't want to work weekends. They don't want to work at night. Yeah. They don't want a 24/7 job. And when you're in a clergy, you are available
on call
at all times. So there's a big issue with people not flocking to the flock.
Yeah.
That was scary.
So that was scary. I don't want to repeat that.
Daryl,
scared, and it's Halloween too.
Daryl said, "Okay, we know the problem is. What are the solutions?" And then he chimed in a little bit later. And he said the issue will not be solved inside of any boardroom, congressional hearing, shows like this, etc. Sometimes to bring about change, sometimes you have to go out and bring about permanent change through the attention of those making the rules. The world would shut down if women shut down. Yeah, absolutely.
Clink moment. We got to clink to our audience. Great salute. Great point, Daryl.
Thanks to you, Daryl.
So, Daryl, I will tell you, what's the solution? The short version to me, I have a very specific worldview. I'm a Christian, and that's I speak in those terms. And for me, I already alluded to it. I spoke on this earlier, what an Azer Kenegdo is. Woman was the apex of all creation. Last thing God brought into creation, the highest of creation. And for me, the solution is that men see women as, at the very least, they're equal. Please hear me on that. At their very least, as equal. And that means we learn to value nurturing. That means we value when that woman wants to go into a social service. Where I serve on the board for an autism foundation, and it's mostly women, and the CEO is a woman, and she runs a multi-million-dollar organization, and they're kicking butt and taking names in one of the biggest. 1 in 68 people are affected by autism.
Yes.
They're kicking butt and taking names, but she pays people a wage that most people will leave. right? Because they just don't make enough to live on, right? Why? Because our society doesn't value it more than a frickin' guy who runs up and down a field and scores touchdowns.
Right.
Joe,
Right?
Yeah, but they do commercials.
So, there's the fix.
I give the wine a 4.
All right.
He's really got to go.
So, we're done. Ed's giving it a 4 and he's headed to the restroom. So,
I will say this to what we're doing, the mission on the show.
yes.
Cindy, have we ever disagreed?
Hell to the yeah. Every show.
Do I still love you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was a pretty funny moment for me. Yes.
I don't know why you laugh so boisterously at that. Because, that was a
They disagree most of the time, people.
disconcerting. No, I'll tell you one thing. Listen, if you ever need to have someone come to your business and give some motivational
Motivation.
That's a new word.
motivational speaking to your troops, Cindy, this girl makes you
She'll get
stand
you
up.
hyped.
She'll get you stand up on your feet. That's when we agree the most. When she talks about business and the entrepreneurial spirit, this girl will get you going. That's a
Clink moment, clink, everybody clink.
that's a diehard battery right there.
It is. It is.
You have no wine.
Got some wine right there.
You gotta fix that.
wine
We'll fix it. So we're gonna wrap up the show, guys. We, as always, appreciate the great comments. I will jump in. I promise you, I will jump in and respond to all of your comments. Daryl, I thank you for being on the show, buddy. We got to get you on, man. You were making all kind of great points, so we got to get you on.
They'll come to Houston and come get on the show with us.
Right.
We need to find out what he means by that. They are to be cherished, held on high. They hold higher position, but they are not our equal. We need to have some elaboration on that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I'm totally reading into it, but I think he was agreeing with my statement.
I think
that
so.
they're
Right,
I think so.
that they're above.
So.
That they are above.
I know.
Right.
You owe me.
Always.
In my heart of hearts, I believe women are above men. I do.
They're
I
smarter.
mean, he's saying
Right.
very
They're smarter too.
They were the
We
last.
usually be treated like it. That's it.
They were the last. Exactly, and that's where man screwed up.
Well, just all, you know what? We could the whole conversation.
It's the after the show show.
It's the after show. So
Let's rate the wine. Let's rate the wine.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the after show
I
show.
just want to see a man have
Yeah.
a baby, and I'll shut the fuck.
Oh!
the heck up. The
We
F-bomb.
almost
we made
made
it
it.
to
We almost made it! Oh my gosh!
It's never me.
It doesn't
count,
count.
doesn't count.
All right. Cindy G, how do you rate today's
Okay,
wine?
so-
Today's wine, which was where the heck the bottle go? Oh, here it is. All right.
It is.
It's the Mar di Vitro from Italy on the Mediterranean Sea down on the heel, and this is a Ionico grape. Very unusual grape for me, anyway.
yeah.
It's not the typical Cab, Merlot, etc.
It's a Pinot. What is? Is it?
It's
a
an
Pinot Noir?
Ionico. That's what it's called. That is the
category.
grape. That is the grape.
So,
Yeah.
oh wow.
Unusual grape, and it's like thousands of years old. It's an old grape.
So
Not
it's
familiar with it.
really good. It's smooth. It has some really nice dark berries.
Yeah,
in it.
berry flavor.
But that leather, man, I felt like I was really licking the boot at the end.
Really?
So I'm gonna give it a 4.
I was all over the place on this wine. I'm going 3.5. When I first took a sip, it was like one of the worst, and then
I know.
and then it grew on me as we drank and talked more, and then we finished with a box wine, and it made the box wine delicious. So I mean, like the box wine tasted better than it ever tasted before. So I got to give it a 3.5 just on that.
I will say that as we poured it, we didn't give it a lot of time to breathe. And as we poured it, it was definitely a little harsh on the tongue for me, on the palate. As
I'll do that too.
it opened up, it really kind of mellowed, and I got to where I think it was a pretty enjoyable glass of wine. It didn't blow my socks off, but I thought it was a pretty solid 4 and a quarter.
Okay.
4 and a quarter.
I give it a 3. I agree with what you said. We had to give it time to breathe, and it was like okay after that, but it was still just
Leather, too much leather.
it's neutral.
And Ed gave it a 4. Ed gave it a 4.
Great.
So there's today's rating for the wine. We're gonna crank up the music, and we're gonna outro here.
Can you put some Shaka Khan or something?
Shaka Khan. I like Shaka Khan. Yeah.
Hey, don't forget 7 o'clock,
I feel
Casa Nueva.
for
We're going to watch the Astros win tonight.
That's right. That's right.
1960 in Crookendall. Shameless plug.
Where's the music, girl?
I'm every woman.
Cindy G's going to sing for us.
We thank you guys for being a part of the show every week. The Whine No Whine Show, saving America, one civil conversation at a time. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. We're booked way into December. I need people for December 22nd and December 29th. If you can be on those shows, let me know. But otherwise, we're booked solid. Hit me up for January.
Whine No Whine 18.
Whine No Whine.
Wow.
Take 18.
Show 28 in the can. Thanks for being a part of the show, people. We'll see y'all next week, Friday, 5 o'clock.